I'm Mary Scarpati, and thank you for watching another video with me. Today I am talking about my second trimester in pregnancy. You can't really tell right now, but from this angle, but I'll stand up so you can see. I have quite the little baby bump. He is definitely growing. I am currently 35 weeks pregnant, so I'm well past my second trimester. I didn't mean to take this long to film this video, but it's just been a hectic season of my life. If you're pregnant right now, I'm not sure you could agree, but I work full time while being pregnant. I actually, during my second trimester, went through a promotion process on top of that. So I started a new job at the very end of my second trimester with the same company, but it's just been a very big year for me and my family. And I am pregnant with my first baby. So this pregnancy, every pregnancy I'm sure is gonna be very different. I don't know if you mamas out there have had a few, I'm sure you could weigh in. I've talked to a lot of friends that have been pregnant with multiple children, and they say, you know, each one's a little different, but this pregnancy has definitely been interesting. I feel like each I was gonna say semester, I'm not in college anymore. Each trimester has been very different for me. So the first trimester I did a whole video on while I had just gotten out of my first trimester, and I will link that video because if you haven't seen it, my first trimester was brutal, honestly, super, super, super hard. And I didn't really have high hopes for my second trimester because I had such a hard first trimester that I was really afraid I was going to be miserable my entire pregnancy. And I am so grateful to God that that was not the case. I actually started out my second trimester not in a good way. I ended up getting the virus that, you know, the 2020 virus everybody knows about at 14 weeks. And my husband and I were very fortunate in the fact that both of us were able to get through it with, you know, pretty well. So we're super grateful for that. But it really took it out of me. So at 14 weeks, I started to feel a tiny, tiny, tiny bit better from I was throwing up all the time in my first trimester. I started to like see a light at the end of the tunnel at 14 weeks. And then like 2-3 days into being 14 weeks, I got sick. And when I got sick, I lost my ability to eat. I don't know how to explain it any other way. I had to force feed myself soup, and I don't like soup. I'm not the kind of person that enjoys soup. I like hearty food. Like, I don't even really like smoothies because I feel like it's not enough substance for me. Like, I like to chew food. But I was having such a hard time eating, and I had already been not underweight, but I hadn't really gained any weight in my first trimester because I was so sick. And I can show a picture of me at 17 weeks, which is when I started coming out of those virus symptoms. When I took a picture of myself at 17 weeks, and I was like really discouraged because I was looking really thin for someone that was farther along in pregnancy. And now I realize like some women don't really show until 20 weeks really, but I was feeling like really, really discouraged and really embarrassed. And I don't know why. I like talk about like women love to be small, but I just really felt embarrassed about how small I was. I really wanted to be showing and like have an outer sign of like these changes I had been going through. And I don't know why I'm emotional. The pregnancy hormones are real friends. But just talking about it, because I haven't really spoken about it even to friends, but I was feeling like really embarrassed and upset that I was so thin and I was really struggling with weakness. And thankfully, around 16 and a half weeks is when I started to make a turn as far as like getting an appetite back and also feeling the baby kick. So I'm having a baby boy. I did a gender reveal. I will share that link below. It was such a fun thing because we did it with my family. I knew ahead of time, so I have footage of my husband and I finding out together. I made it a game for my family to find out, and I have a big immediate family. I'm one of 4 kids, but everybody's married and has kids. And then my aunt was there, my grandma, and everybody got to participate. So if you have a big family and you want everyone to feel included in your gender reveal, I highly recommend you checking that out. And it was super just fun. It was like a fun way to celebrate life. Like, life is just so short and crazy. And I mean, as we all know, life is crazy. So after the last few years, that you need to celebrate life when you can. So yeah, we found out we were having a boy. I think actually I found that out my first trimester. I was like 12 weeks pregnant when I found out I was having a boy. But I felt flutters at like 13 to 14 weeks, but I felt strong kicks at 16 and a half weeks, which now I realize is actually early to feel like strong kicks. But this baby, let me tell you, he is strong. His dad's 6'3", 6'4", so he's a big boy. And now it's like a little bit outrageous, but I love, like, that is honestly my favorite part of pregnancy, is feeling this baby kick. I feel like I know him. Like, I just feel like I've gotten to know him. And it's such a cool thing to be a mother and get to know your baby before the whole world does. And it's such an honor and a privilege. And I'm just so grateful that I've gotten to get to know this baby. And he's extremely, he's a lot like his mom in the fact that he's pretty stubborn and he's pretty, he knows what he wants and he lets everybody know. Because if I'm laying on my side and he does not like it, he pushes until I flip over, which I've never, like, no one's ever told me about this. This baby is strong, and like, he's been doing that since maybe like 18 to 20 weeks, just like really like pushing until I flip over to the other side. And sometimes he doesn't like that either. So it's a big tossing and turning game. I would say my sleep has been seriously affected by my second trimester. So my first trimester, I was really sick. My second trimester, praise the Lord, I did not get sick at all. I was doing so well. Like, the first 2 weeks, I would say around 17 to 18 weeks, I got my energy back. I felt like myself. I could eat. I could not eat my first trimester. I could eat, and I love food, and I could cook, and I love cooking, and I wasn't cooking I did not even leave bed my first trimester. So it was like, went from the most miserable I've ever been to the most euphoric I've ever been. The word I would use is euphoric. Like, it was nuts. Like, I was just walking around smiling on a cloud for 2 weeks because I had just been so depleted emotionally and physically that to feel good and be able to eat and cook and feel like a person and do things again just honestly was the best thing in the world. So like, at least from my experience, that honeymoon second trimester was 100% true. I'm so grateful that was the case, because I was really worried I was going to have one of those pregnancies where you're just like miserable the whole time. So yeah, I started to be able to eat. I started to be able to cook, just living my best life. I just started feeling like myself a little bit, because I feel like in this pregnancy, I did not anticipate how much it would affect my life. And I know that might sound naive or silly, but I just didn't really anticipate how much I would change as a person, and how much, just like how night and day it was. Like, and even now I like am looking forward to feeling like myself again. I've had friends tell me not to get my hopes up, that I might never feel like myself. I'll just feel like a new version of me, which is fine. It's been a very different experience. Like, I don't know how to explain it any other way. On top of being able to eat and be active again, the biggest other thing was I started working out again. I'm not like, if you've seen any of my other videos, I don't like share fitness content, but I do take care of myself. I did follow Weight Watchers for a year and a half to prepare for my wedding, and I've always been like really into cooking, really into being, healthier, and also trying to be active and keeping active. And that's looked very different throughout the years. Like, some years I was, better than others, but the last like 2 years, I've been really dedicated to doing at least like 10 minutes of working out a day, which sounds kind of silly, but let me tell you, consistency is key, at least from my experience with exercise. And I just feel so much better about myself. And my biggest goal is to do low impact exercising. So I didn't exercise at all my first trimester because I literally didn't leave bed. I've never been more miserable. But my second trimester, I was like, I'm finally feeling good. I'm able to eat. I want to start working out again. So what I did, and obviously you should always consult with your doctor. I went on long walks with my dog through our neighborhood every day, which I love. I love getting fresh air. I think it's so good for you mentally and physically. I work from home, so it's like if I don't get outside, I could never leave my house if I really wanted to. So intentionally getting outside has been really, really good for me, just getting the sunshine and the fresh air. I started doing Country Heat on Beachbody, and I have to say I loved Country Heat. There is some jumping that you do not have to do. You don't have to do anything that you're not comfortable with. You can modify. But Country Heat honestly is such a good workout for someone that is totally out of shape. I was totally out of shape. I hadn't worked out in 3 months, like totally lost all my muscle mass. So I loved Country Heat. It was a great way to ease into exercising again. And then I started doing these Fit Moms workouts, which is at a park, a local park. You pay for a class and you like have a jogging stroller, which was, I felt a little embarrassed getting this like jogging stroller when I had like no baby in my jogging stroller, but I really loved doing it. And I thought it was such like a great way to get community, and it's nice because you can meet local moms. My friend who has a 3-year-old and who was 4 weeks ahead of me in her pregnancy, did the workouts, and she was the one that recommended it to me, and I really loved it. And I thought it was such a great way to get involved in my second trimester. So that was my activity levels. Oh, something that did develop in my second trimester that I didn't towards the end of my second trimester was that I needed to start, I couldn't go long periods of time without eating. I feel like women talk about this in their first trimester, but I didn't have that. I could have never eaten again and been fine. But in my second trimester, I would get really, really nauseous if I didn't eat. So around 18 weeks, my belly finally popped. I thought it popped. I'll show a picture now. You guys can let me know what you think. But at the time, like now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, my stomach was really not popped. But I went from having a pretty flat stomach to like having like a pretty extended stomach, and it hurt so bad. The stretching pains, I don't know if you had this, but I had crazy stretching pains in my stomach. I did not anticipate this. I didn't know that was a thing. I knew people had discomfort while being pregnant, but I felt like pain on each side of my stomach from the stretching. It was crazy. Like the feeling was not great. It was kind of exciting because I knew things were changing, but it also can be intimidating because like the stretching feeling is painful, and you don't know if that's like cramping, if that's a bad thing, because obviously when you're that early still pregnant, you don't want cramping. But thank God that wasn't the case. The baby was just growing, and overnight I feel like I went from having that like 17-week flat stomach that I showed to that 18-week distended tummy to 20 weeks really having like a cute little teeny tiny bump. But at the time I was just so excited. I don't know if that's a first time pregnancy thing, but I just desperately wanted to be showing because I wanted it to feel more real. Like I felt like people didn't really, like I felt like I was going through all these changes, but I wanted it to be visible to other people that I was going through all these changes. If that was the case with you, I'd love for you to comment in the comments below, because I don't know, I've never heard someone talk about that, like desiring those physical signs, and that was something that I really wanted. And I didn't anticipate that with like being pregnant. I thought I'd be one of those pregnant women that just like ate. I love food, and I just anticipated eating up a storm and just blowing up my whole pregnancy. So when it didn't happen for me that way, like honestly, food has not smelled or tasted the same my whole pregnancy, even though the second trimester was way better. So it's just been definitely not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a food frenzy, and it hasn't really been the case, which is probably better, but whatever. I don't know. I was, it's just anticipation. I mean, what's that? Expectations versus reality. Like, my expectations of pregnancy was like, I'm just going to be fat and happy this whole time. And it's been like, not that. Not that. Except for, second trimester was great. In our second trimester, we did pick out the baby's name. That was another thing that was like a really big deal. I was having a really hard time landing on a name. My husband and I'll give a hint. I'm not going to say the name. But my husband and I were going to go for M names because my name is Mary, his name is Matt, and our last name is Munoz. And even though I go by Scarpati in these videos, in this YouTube channel, because that's my maiden name. But I was thinking of, we were thinking of M names. And long story short, every time we had an M name pick, we had two that we really liked, both of us. And we'd be like, okay, that's his name. And then I'd just be like, that's not his name. I don't know why. I just couldn't feel settled on it. I was like, I have to think about it. And then I was praying about it to God, and I was like, Lord, I don't know what this baby's name is. I feel every time we land on one of these names, I don't feel good about it, even though we love them. So you need to help me out if this isn't his name. And God gave me the full name. And I will probably make a video sharing his name and why we did that. But really, honestly, this name was not even on the short list, and the middle name wasn't on the short list. We had 2 middle names and 2 first names picked out, and none of them is what we use. So I don't know. I just really believe that's this baby's name. And it's funny because the more I got to know him, the more I felt sure, I felt so much peace that this is his name. And I just love calling him that. And I just love the name, and I feel like it's him. So honestly, finding out the gender and then naming him has just helped, it's helped make things feel more tangible and real and exciting, because it is a long process being pregnant, and at least I have needed things to keep me going, I've been much more emotional than I normally would be. As I said, I almost got weepy in this video. I could cry over the silliest things. I just feel very sensitive. I've always had a tender heart, but I can be very weepy, very emotional over the silliest things. So yeah, that's another random one. I did stop taking, I was taking Unisom and B6 for my whole first trimester to help with the nausea, and I stopped taking that. And it was really hard. Actually, the Unisom, I feel really messed up my sleep. I know that insomnia is a pregnancy symptom. I have not slept well my second trimester or my third trimester. My second trimester, it was a little different. I'd sleep through the night, but then I'd wake up at 3, 4, 5 a.m. and just feel wired and not go back to sleep. So that was really, really hard, especially because I didn't feel well rested, and I did end up taking naps in the middle of the day when I needed to, but I was not as tired for my second trimester. I definitely had enough energy to exercise and live my life. Another thing that I did that I think is the last thing that I'm going to share that I did that I think really helped me is as I started phasing out of fitting into things, I took everything and put them in a bin because I was feeling frustrated. I felt oh, I have all these clothes and I can't wear any of them. So what I did was I created a bin. I bought a Sterilite box or container, and I just started putting all my pants in those Sterilite bins as things didn't fit anymore. Because my whole first trimester, I really didn't gain much weight. It happened pretty rapidly in my second trimester that I started not being able to fit in things, and it was frustrating because I just felt like I had nothing to wear every day. One thing I did was put the clothes that didn't fit, which was mostly all my pants. Actually, all my shirts for the most part still fit me. So I didn't really need maternity shirts as much, but I did need maternity bottoms, and I will link some of my favorites that I got, as well as this dress is a maternity dress that I got from Old Navy. I got a lot of stuff actually from Old Navy because I just didn't want to spend a ton of money on maternity clothing. I got 1 pair of jeans, 3 pairs of shorts because I live in Texas, so the majority of the time it is actually pretty hot. I wore shorts yesterday. It's definitely been, it's a hotter place to live, so having shorts has been nice, more shorts. And then I've gotten 2 pairs of leggings are from Target, and I'm obsessed with both of them. I will link both of them below. They're so buttery soft, and I'm just totally obsessed with them. I did get 2 pairs of joggers from Old Navy, and no lie, they're ridiculously large. They are ridiculously large. The joggers were a joke. So I got a small, and they still don't fit me, and I'm 35 weeks pregnant. They're just so large, they fall off me, they look silly. And if I hold them up, like, it's not a small, I don't know. They really look like an extra, extra large. And it's just frustrating because, like, I was looking forward to wearing the joggers, and I never returned them because I thought I would just grow into it. Like, I got them when I was still on the smaller side at like 20 weeks, and I have never fit in them. They just are way too big. So everything else fit right. So I will share all that, as well as I'll link like all my favorite maternity outfits, as well as Pink Blush Maternity. I got some really, really cute stuff from them. I will link that below as well because I really, really like their maternity stuff. It's a little bit more pricey, but it's beautiful. And like, they made me feel so pretty. Like, I went to a wedding. I also shopped at Petal and Pump for their bump friendly things for another wedding I went to. If you like this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm sure I'm gonna be making tons of mommy content and pregnancy content, as well as just lifestyle content and life lessons that I've learned, and cooking and stuff like that, because I do love to cook and eat in normal circumstances. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you stick around. Bye.